welcome to the next installment of Journey Through John, where we're taking a bite-sized chunk of scripture, having a brief discussion, and a challenge at the end with the hopes that this will be a resource for you as you dive into your word on a consistent basis. Today we're continuing on with John chapter 18. We'll be reading verses 19 through 24, and to keep in mind, this is where Jesus is being questioned, and his trial is the rigged trial. Is being brought forward, and they're asking him questions. This is being railroaded to one end, and Jesus knew that, but he submitted himself to this. And so it's important for us as we read through this chapter, and certainly there will be challenges, but also keep in mind that Jesus is willing to go through this for us. And since this is true, it behooves us to take time to really think about this and focus in on the great love that Jesus has shown for us to go through this. As we go through this and break this down to bite-sized chunks. Today, verses 19 through 24 of chapter 18, let's dive in. It says, the high priest then questioned Jesus about his disciples and his teaching. Jesus answered him, I've spoken openly to the world. I've always taught in the synagogues and in the temple where all the Jews come together. I said nothing in secret. So why do you ask me? Ask those who have heard me what I said to them. They know what I said. And when he said these things, one of the officers standing by struck Jesus with his hand, saying, Is that how you answer the high priest? And Jesus answered him, If what I said is wrong, bear witness about the wrong. But if what I said is right, why do you strike me? Annas then sent him bound to Caiaphas, the high priest. Even Jesus, even though he's being accused and they're trying to find some way, some reason to kill him, we're seeing that people are responding out of hatred over the facts. I think we actually see that quite a bit nowadays in certain things, don't we? People respond out of emotion over the facts. And so Jesus is saying here, you're accusing me of things, but you're not saying what I did was wrong. And just by his response, somebody just smacks him because they feel like what he's saying to the high priest is done in disrespect. And Jesus said, what witness? Why did you hit me? You have no reason to have hit me. And they don't really have a reason for anything that they're doing, so they said, well, let's take him to Caiaphas. let's take this to the next step, because we know what we're doing, we feel justified in it, even though we have no facts. So let's just keep doing this, taking this up the chain of command. Again, proving, once again, this is being railroaded. But once again, it's important for us to realize that even though it's being railroaded, we can sit back and see clearly that this was wrong. They handled this completely in the wrong way. This was still fulfilling the purpose for which God sent Jesus in the first place. This is the reason Jesus came. And he had to go through this for the reconciling of mankind, for bringing us back together with God. And so, once again, by us, we can say this can't be God's plan, and yet somehow, some way, this is God's plan, proving once again the sovereignty of God and how he is able to navigate all the ways of mankind by using their own free will desires and decisions to still accomplish the purposes for which he chooses. That blows my mind a little bit, a lot bit. That's our great God. We see the sovereignty and the magnitude of all that God is, even in this plan. Even though Jesus is submitting himself and is going along with this railroaded trial, the reality is that this is still orchestrated by God, because he let men make their own decisions, and from their own decisions navigated the situation to still fulfill his purpose. And so certainly there's a lot we can pull away from this, but I think the challenge that comes to mind as I'm reading this is, are there things in my life that I'm trying to railroad and say, well, I know that this is what God would want, without actually saying, God, what do you want? And God can still use me in my misguided ways sometimes, but that shouldn't be my desire. My desire should be to be fully submitted to the purpose of the Father, just like Jesus is. That even if things are going wrong and people are wrongfully accusing me, people are treating me wrongly, maybe, just maybe, this is fulfilling the purpose of the Father in my life. It's hard to think of it that way, isn't it? That's a huge challenge, because I want everything to make sense, and I want everything to be done, even if I'm selfless as much as I can be, I'm still to some degree going to want things to be done a certain way, the way I see most rational for them to be done. And yet the Father's able to use either or, and the Father's able to unfold his plans. Our desire should be to be used in the way that he wants to use us, no matter what. And I don't know how will I do that. So I hope that challenges you, but I hope it encourages you in a time of prayer, to take a time of prayer and say, God, I want to be whatever you want me to be. I want to do whatever you want me to do, but I want to do it with the right heart. I want to be submitted to whatever it is you want to do. And I don't want you to have to use me in a way like some of these people, Annas and those who were around him, they were being used by God. But I don't want to be used that way. I want to be fully submitted to how he wants to do it, and I hope you do too. That's a challenge. That's kind of a deep thought as we think about the sovereignty of God in the midst of this plan. But he's at work in your plan as well, and he has purpose for your life. So I hope that challenges you, and I hope it encourages you, and I hope to see you again tomorrow as we continue our journey through John.